G'day and welcome to Kenty Blitz, your daily hit of NRL news. Kenty, it's raining cats and dogs outside. It is absolutely hosing down. We've got two people in the studio with very different expressions today. We've got Hugo, our producer, who's blowing up and saying he hates Sydney, he wants to move to Melbourne.
Oh, he's never happy, Hugo.
No, he's never happy. That's true. And we got you, who's coming, kicking your feet together, and you look happiest I've ever seen you in a while.
Kicking the heels, mate, yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, because I won my singles last night.
You did not. Unbelievable.
The biggest fluke you've ever seen. Anyway, it's in the record books.
Very good.
Balmain B grade.
Very good, very good. Anyway, into the footy. Let's start with the game tonight at a core stadium.
Yeah.
It will be underwater.
Yeah, I know. Look, I don't know. I think it'll help St. George Illawarra a lot tonight, the game. Yeah, they're obviously they've been really hampered by injury. What happened last week with the three players all stood down from the concussions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of going to knock them around a little bit. But South, as we know, look, they've been all over the shop as well. They were brave last week, South Sydney.
Can Alex Johnston get the record tonight?
Look, it's possible, isn't it? Look, he's on 209 tries. Now, Ken Irvine, who... I didn't know if Ken Irvine's record would ever be broken. Well, certainly when Billy Slater couldn't get there. And I thought Billy was probably at least a season away, maybe a season and a half away from getting it. But yeah, he just had to keep playing and get older and older, which he wasn't able to do.
And slower.
Yeah, but look, Alex Johnston's there. He's 3 tries away. I'd love to see him get it this year. He's definitely got to get it, whichever way you look at it. So
re-sign for next year, so that's not a problem. He'll get it under South's colours. Yep.
Yeah, he's done that, and look, there is apparently he's got a clause in his contract too that he can negotiate with the new Papua New Guinea team at any time.
Yeah, right.
Which I found interesting.
Okay.
So there's a little bit going on there as well. But yeah, look, I think tonight's a big opportunity. The thing is, Cody Walker, Wayne Bennett's confirmed he'll be coming off the bench.
Okay. You happy with that?
Yeah. Look, the thing about Cody. As we know, he's 36, I think he is now. And I think I dare say this might be a permanent move for Cody Walker coming off the bench because...
I think they've re-signed him too, right?
They have.
It's 1 or 2 years.
He's going... Look, he's certainly going next year.
He wanted 2, but I don't know if he
got that. Yeah. So he's certainly going next year. But the thing is, as he's ageing and his body's not sort of holding up like it used to, and we've had discussions about Daly Cherry Evans this week and how... aging players don't like to get involved in the collision as often as they used to. The thing with Cody, though, he's just so clever with the ball. He's got so much time when he's got the ball, and he's so crucial to their attack and just sparking that left edge attack particularly, that I think it's a good idea for Wayne Bennett to start him off the bench, let the sting get out of the game a little bit, and then bring him on when there's just a little bit of fatigue in the defence, and then just come out and capitalise on what they do there. But he is crucial to, I think, Alex Johnston...
getting to 212.
Yeah, I think. Look, it'd be very short money that Cody Walker will throw in the pass. Okay, to get the 212 try. I tell you what, I'd be lining up to do it if I was Cody Walker.
Yes.
To try and make sure put his name goes a little bit, little asterisk in the history books as well. But I think it's just a nice touch that if he can get there this year.
It's going to be wet there tonight, so there's probably not going to be a lot of points scored.
Well, you imagine so, but. There is a tendency, particularly of a lot of teams that just like to play dry weather football. They play it in the wet anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Throw it around. It makes it a bit messy. They don't. Yeah, in the old days, when the leather ball would get waterlogged, you playing on a bog pack.
Impossible to catch.
Yeah, and so when you had to really sort of curtail your attack. You had to stand closer to each other, pass shorter, things like that. Nowadays they continue to still run all their plays. They just the ball's just a little bit more greasy than normal. But if the ball sticks, he'll have plenty of room out there. So look, 3 tries is not beyond him.
There's a generation of kids who never grew up with leather balls in the wet. Remember that? Jeez, it was the worst.
They used to be so heavy, didn't they?
A lot of raised eyebrows when I hired Gary as my new bodyguard. But the guy really offers something unique. Just like the PointsBet app. It's all about offering something different, like a better, faster way to bet on all your favorite sports.
She's good to go, mate.
PointsBet, built different. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
28 players out of tonight's game, 60% of the cap, $12 million on the bench.
Yeah, it's staggering, isn't it?
I mean, is that because the season, are the players better? Is it the collision stronger?
Oh, the collisions are certainly more consistent over the 80 minutes.
Okay.
So that's one part of it. And 27 rounds, well, this is round 25 this week. That's a long time. That's a lot of football to be played.
Well, the other thing is you always talk about the interchange, and, with these interchanges, you're bringing on fresh players who are smashing blokes as well, right?
Yeah, and the intensity just doesn't die out like it used to.
Yeah.
So, but that said, 26 is a lot of players to be on the sideline. We don't know what's happening at South Sydney. They'll have some sort of look at it over the off season and try and figure out what caused it. But there's all sorts of reasons why the people sort of offered up. But the fact is, they're all different sorts of injuries.
Yes.
And some happen in games, some happen at training. So there's no consistent thread through it to say, well, this is what we were doing that's caused it.
Well, the Rabbits have 15 players out and the Dragons have 13 out.
Yeah.
So what does that mean, do you think? I mean, the standard, I think, is still pretty strong. But what does that mean for expansion when you think about some of these players now, some of these 15 players or 13 players who are going into the different teams are going to be over at Perth or Papua New Guinea? What do you think?
Look,
do you think the talent pool is big enough, or they're just going to keep generating new players?
well, it's not big enough, okay, but it is what it is.
Okay.
The fact is, I get people's frustrations and say we don't have enough talent to expand, and two teams is going to put a lot of drain on resources there. But you can't grow without doing that.
Yep.
It's just a simple fact. You can't go off and farm off 30 players to have a 30-man squad who are just basically sitting there waiting for an expansion team to come up and train them up to be NRL level for when that comes. They just don't. At the moment, you've got 17 clubs, you've got 30-man squads roughly, okay? So what's that? That's like 510 players, okay?
Yep.
When we get the two new teams in, it's got to go up to 570. Those players are going to have to come from somewhere.
Yep.
And unfortunately, they're not going to be elite players. They're going to be ranked 511th to 570th best players available. That's the truth of it. But you cannot expand without actually going down that path.
Yeah, and we need to remember the money that will come into the broadcast deal, which will then generate new players who are going to come in a few years' time.
Eventually,
right?
it will compensate. But the fact is, look, we look at a 17-team competition now. We had a 16-team competition. We're not sitting here suddenly blowing up about the lack of depth because that extra team come in.
Yeah,
it's not like the football's gone off because of that.
Not at all.
And same as when you want to go back to, I think, was it a 14-team competition when it first started? The NRL, back to the old Sydney comp, was a 12-team competition. To grow the game, you have to.
Yep.
You just have to do it.
Yep.
It's part of your growing pains, but that's the reality.
Yep. And going into places where they haven't played recently, like Perth, etc. So, Wayne, just on the Rabbits again, Wayne Bennett today spoke in his press conference about the potential for Fafita to go down, or they're going to start to talk to him after the 1st of November. What do you think about that for Fafita and for the Rabbits? Because he's on $950,000.
Yeah, he's on 950, but he won't be getting that again anywhere he goes.
No.
Okay, that was just he got hit the backside with a rainbow there.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he went from the Broncos to the Titans in 2020, that's when he got that.
It was ridiculous money.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have paid it back then, and it's never been a good investment. The thing that Fafita has to do, though, he has to get his career back on track. He has to get good football back under his belt. At the moment, he's certainly not worth half of what he's on. So he's got to get back to do that. Wayne Bennett understands him. He's a bit of a different cat. Well,
Wayne Bennett gave him his start in the Broncos when he was 18 years old, and so he knows him well, right?
And Wayne's a motivator. One of Wayne's true skills is he's a great motivator, and Wayne will be great for Fafita from that point of view. He'll be great at getting him back on course with what he can do and the way he can play. He hasn't produced that at the Titans. I think that they'll be happy to let him go as soon as he wants to go. I spoke some weeks back about this. He contacted Wayne Bennett. Fafita, he wants out. He wants to go to South Sydney. I think he realises the very fact he's contacted Wayne shows he realises that Wayne's the guy to get him going again, and he needs to do that because if he does go and play under Wayne, he could have a couple of good years, and then he might start getting good money in his next contract after that.
Yeah, good point. He's only 25, I think.
Yeah, but if he doesn't, he will not get another deal. He'll be playing Super League. Okay, over in England. So that's the reality for Fafita, because
He'd be good over there. Could you
he
imagine?
terrorise him. He terrorise him. But you've got to stay away from the pork pies over there too. So
Yeah, true. Kenty, what about this idea that people are talking about, including Chimes, who is part of our program, talking about expanding or potentially expanding from 30 players for each club to deal with the attrition that we see now that we never used to see a couple of years ago?
it's got merit. It's got merit. But the other thing, that's basically a salary cap restriction there. Every team's got like feeder teams below them in the state cups and whatnot.
Yep.
Every club has got that. So they do have players there. The only way it needs to change is at the moment they've got to ask for dispensation for someone outside their 30 to come to get called up. But the NRL are very forgiving in that area.
Based on injuries.
Well, they are, yeah. They're not. So they're quite able to do that. Now, there's a whole lot of hairs on that as well, though. What happens with the minimum wage, all sorts of things like that that have got to come into it. What does that do to the salary cap? So there's all sorts of things that have got to. You can't just say, okay, we're going to go from 30 to 35. There's got to be sort of financial ramifications to that as well. But I dare say too, though, a lot of those guys are getting pretty elite coaching anyway. So they're getting
in New South Wales Cup, etc.
And Queensland Cup.
Yep.
They're getting an opportunity to sit there and those coaches want to coach NRL themselves one day.
Of course. Yep.
And they do take advice from the top down. So they do sit there and they do get some good coaching. They probably don't get the week-to-week physicality of it. They probably certainly don't get that in the games that they play. But that's they're not going to get that even if they're sitting in the 35-man squad now in the future. That's the way it is. So it's not a bad idea, but the problem's still going to be there. You're still going to get a lot of injuries.
Yep. Well, let's talk about the Dogs, right? Because at the end of the game last week, Cameron Ciraldo, in his press conference, dug into his players and said, when the going got tougher, they didn't step up, and there was some blokes who didn't step up. So he really put the challenge out to the players. How do you think they're going to react?
Well, that's the big question now for the Bulldogs. It's going to be a fascinating game tomorrow night. They've got a tough game. Now, Melbourne are down on numbers. Yep. So Melbourne aren't the Melbourne team that you'd want to put out there on grand final day. But they do have a big pack, and they will try and intimidate the Bulldogs. And that's one of the things that Ciraldo really didn't like last week was when the Roosters took the fight to them, the Bulldogs didn't respond. Now, that's something that they have prided themselves on last year. They didn't do it the other night. He got into I'm led to believe he got into the halves a little bit as well. Okay. I think Lachlan Gowan's defensive liabilities got found out a little bit.
Well, let's talk about Lachie Galvin. Is he feeling the pressure now? He has to be, right?
I think
they've had a loss to the Tigers and to the Roosters.
Yeah, and they haven't had a real good spell, to be honest. Like they've had they lost those games. They just beat St George Illawarra. I think Manly was a win they had. So there's another one in there too. So they haven't played well since Galvin's been there. Okay, not in whole games, so to speak. And I think his defence has been found out a little bit. Teams are getting to him, and the small size of the Bulldogs pack is also something that's being exploited now by the big teams. And I think Melbourne got some pretty big boppers in the middle there. So
Nelson is, the whispers are Nelson will be in the 17 tonight. So after 2 weeks in Queensland Cup.
Yeah, I've got no doubt that he'll be
running straight.
I reckon he'll be running. I think Craig Bellamy will pick him back specifically for that purpose to just sort of rub it into the Bulldogs how small their forwards are. And that's one thing that's been spoken about around the game is that the Bulldogs, if they've got like a liability or a weakness, it's their lack of size in the middle.
Playing with two middle forwards rather than three middle forwards, which most people do on the bench.
Yeah, but they're doing that, and there's no grunt through the middle, and that's I think what particularly irritated Ciraldo last week was that the Roosters took it to them, they bullied them. Trent Robinson made a statement by starting Spencer Leniu instead of bringing him off the bench.
Yeah, good call.
And Leniu went out there and basically just tore into them, and they didn't answer the challenge. So it's a big test for Canterbury, and I think it's going to be a real Yeah, tomorrow night's fascinating. Like it will be a wonderful night to just sit down and look. We've got the perfect weather for it here in Sydney.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? To just sit
You don't want to
down.
go out, yeah, for
No,
sure.
just sit down in front of the TV, and you'll go from the 6 o'clock game to the 8 o'clock game. It's the first, second, third, and fifth are playing.
Unbelievable night of footy.
Yeah, and so but they're the four. Yeah, they're the four teams that are going to win the comp. It'll come from these four teams that play tomorrow night. It won't come from anywhere else. So they'll be playing, but it'll give everybody a good sense watching them back to back of where all those teams are. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night's games.
I heard Joey Johns talk about Galvin, and he was saying his advice to Galvin was get your defence right first. And I told this story earlier on in this series, but I remember, I was having a coffee with Joey, and his son was there, and he was going off to play footy for the Roosters. And he said the last thing he said to his son was, "Make sure you get defence right."
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah.
And he's relayed that when he's talking about Galvin, saying he's got to get his defence right because that seems to be where the other teams are channeling their attack now.
Yeah, and the thing about that, Andrew Eddinghausen used to always say that as well.
Okay,
and his priority when he went out to play was he wouldn't think about what he needed to do in attack. His whole mindset was what he needed to do defensively, because he knew if he started well defensively, the attack would come.
Okay,
that's just the mindset they have, and that's I think that Joey's coming from the same place.
Yep.
And Galvin's got he's only a teenager still.
Yes.
So he's not a big, like, he's tall, but he's got shoulders like a brown snake. So he hasn't really filled out yet.
Yeah.
And teams that's another thing that they've cottoned on to. He hasn't got a big bloke next to him that can just jam a guy. Like sometimes the coach will put a big guy there that can whack a little bit defensively. Just as a warning, well, if you're going to run at him, you've got this guy standing next to him, he'll give you one. But the Bulldogs don't really have that either. So it's a lot of questions are going to be asked tomorrow night, and I think a lot will be answered.
Kenty, we often talk about the potential for coaches to, in the lead up to the semi-finals, run their teams hard. And Canterbury have seemed quite flat the last couple of weeks. And I was thinking to myself, well, maybe Ciraldo is running them hard.
Yeah, they could be doing that. Yeah. Teams do that. What they do is they'll go through a block. Once it becomes a fait accompli that you're going to make the playoffs, particularly now the top three teams are all they're all going to probably stay where they're at. They might change order a little bit, but the top three will stay the top three.
Yep.
So what happens when that happens? Coaches will go, okay, and they'll prepare a training block in the last rounds, and it varies slightly from team to team and what their thoughts are and where they think they're at. But they'll put a training block on of really hard training, almost like pre-season like training. And what that does, it makes them a little bit leg weary, so they can be a little bit lethargic on the field on the weekend because of that. But what it does is just tops up their fitness back to that sort of premium level again. And then what they do is just before the finals, they'll back it right off, and which freshens them.
Taper up.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be looking into it too much, and maybe that's making excuses for the Dogs, but it does seem like they're flat. So maybe that's why.
It could be, but look, I've got no doubt Melbourne are doing it, because I think Melbourne were like the early pioneers of it.
Yes.
So they would have been doing it or are currently doing it. And there's no doubt the Raiders, like, they had the bye on the weekend. I reckon they would have had a couple of hard weeks of running as well.
In the lead up to the bye.
During
the bye as well.
They would have got a few days off, and then they would have come back and had a couple of really hard sessions.
Yeah. It's interesting, you were talking before about Alex Johnston and this get-out clause, or the ability to negotiate with Papua New Guinea. Did you see Xavier Coates, speaking of Melbourne, has re-signed for another year, or another year on top?
No, he's just signed for one more year, just for next year. So but what's telling about that is he didn't get a 2 or 3 year extension. He actually signed for one more year, which means come the end of next year, he has the ability to, it's clever, has the ability to negotiate with the new Papua New Guinea team. Now, Xavier Coates was born in Papua New Guinea. So he's the
face, right?
Yeah, so he could be the face of the club, absolutely. And but by signing for one more year means that the Perth Bears can't get to him. So clever by Melbourne. So they've insulated him from that.
Yeah.
But he comes back and he has that 1 year extension, which gives him, when his contract finishes next year on November 1, He has the ability to sit down. Look, he'll need another club for a year, but he might stay another year at Melbourne. But he has the ability then to sit down and talk to the Papua New Guinea team and see what they're offering.
He'd be fantastic up there. Fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The local
It's a
kid.
fascinating place. I remember when Heine and Fletcher they walked the Kokoda Trail. Heine is such a hero up there, and they are so passionate about their rugby league that when they were walking on the track, people would come out who lived in the mountains. Papua New Guinean people would come out like of the forest just to watch them walk past. Some people walk for 3 days
Wow.
to get to the track to see Nathan Hindmarsh walk past.
Wow.
3 days. 3 days. They hiked through that
Dense bush.
that dense forest up there, and out of that, and then watch him walk past, and then walk 3 days back.
Thanks very much, and boom. That's nuts.
And the thing too with Heine's he's very mentally strong, and because it's such a tough walk, he was just like, you know what, I'm going to put my head down. And I'm just not going to get distracted. I'm not going to. Like, Fletch wins the whole way, okay? The whole way he just bitched. Whereas Heine just put his head down. I'm going to get it done. I'm not going to complain about anything. I'm not going to let anything weaken me.
Yep.
And off he went. So I don't even know these poor villagers got even a cheerio from him because he was just head down and
Wow.
off he went.
Poor bastards.
Anyway, but they love their rugby league up there like nobody you've ever seen.
I heard a story which I say quickly. I think it was Spud Carroll was telling me a story about he played up there and they came off the field, and just before they were coming off the field, they were told, don't go back in the dressing rooms because they've fleeced the dressing rooms. So that, it was Laurie Daly, I think. So then he got back on the bus. They had to go straight back on the bus, straight back to the hotel in their footy gear, straight off the field. And when they were getting off the field, everyone was trying to pull their jerseys off. And, very good.
Imagine if you got away, got the jersey off Laurie Daly, how
It'd be worth a bit.
Oh, the fight for it though. Imagine
Very
that.
good. Well, it's preview time now, Kenty, so it's time for this. Okay, of course, that was brought to you by PointsBet, built different. Kenty, let's start with the game tonight. The Rabbitohs $1.80 paying the Dragons $2.
Yeah.
Keon Kolomatangi is back for the Rabbits.
Yeah, he's back, yeah.
They thought he was out for the season, so he's come back quickly.
That's good. And look, he'll be fit and firing to go. I actually like the Dragons in this game, though. I think the wet weather's going to suit the Dragons more than it'll suit South Sydney. And I think we underestimate the grit that the Dragons have been playing with.
Okay.
I know that South were impressive last week, but I just don't think that, they've got to get it as easy tonight as they did last week against Parramatta.
Okay, so the Dragons for you. I saw an interesting side note where head coach Flanagan said that the 3 players who got HIAs last week, 2 of them will come back next week, Hame Saleh and Jack de Bowen, but he's going to step down Hamish Stewart for the whole year.
Well,
coach taking care of his young player.
I think that's a good idea. Like, they've only got 3 games left, 2 after this weekend, and he's a young kid. It's not going to hurt him to give his brain a bit of a rest. Yeah,
body a break. Looked like you have a bung knee for some times too, so maybe that's what it's about. Tomorrow night, we've spoken a lot about this game. The Panthers $1.70. They're favourites over the Raiders. Surprised by that?
Yeah, I am surprised by that.
Yeah.
It's a funny one though. I had a look. The Raiders haven't played a top 8 team since June 1.
Really?
Round 13. So we're going into round 25 tonight.
Yeah, wow.
They have not played another top 8 team, which was back then was the Roosters, who they beat. And I think they played the Warriors the week before. So they had a couple of games in a row of top 8 teams, but they have not played. So they haven't really been, I think, under a lot of pressure from a good side. So it's going to be interesting to see. The Raiders have got to get into this game, and they've got to, I think, satisfy themselves that they're premiership ready.
Okay.
And they've got to do that with a really strong performance against Penrith. Okay. Now,
So who needs it more?
Well, they've both got their own reasons. Like I said, I think the Raiders need to go out, put a strong game in to just know within themselves. Because this Penrith team is a side who, I don't know if they'll finish top 4, but I think this Penrith side is probably backing themselves to be the first to win it from outside the top 4.
Yep.
Okay, I think they are in that frame of mind. And I think Penrith would like, obviously they would like to win it because a win will almost certainly put them in the top 4. And they'll finish there, given the Warriors the troubles they're having. And that'll give them 2 bites of the cherry come finals time. But I also do think that mentally they are preparing themselves to do it the hard way and come from outside the top 4. So that's got to be their motivation. The Raiders need to come off and go, you know what, we just took on the team that's won the past 4 premierships, who are back at the top of their game, and who will basically underline, underwrite their premiership credentials. So the Raiders need to come off thinking that. So it's a big game for both teams for that reason.
If Penrith get top 4, they get a chance to have a break. And if any team needs a break, I think it's Penrith. They've been at the top for a long time.
Well, they haven't played a top 4, the top 8 side since, I know they played Melbourne last week, but before that was the Bulldogs in round 17.
But up until that win, I think they'd won 9 in a row, right? So they were up and up.
But they weren't a lot of those.
I get it. But you still got to win it, right?
Yeah, you still got
to be up and up. Fast track, does that suit the It hasn't been raining there apparently. Panthers or Raiders?
I think it suits the Raiders.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it suits the Raiders, and that's the thing. I don't think it suits. I even though it's an away game for the Raiders, I don't really see it as an away game. There's no advantage for either team. Okay, other than the Panthers will run out of the home dressing room.
Yeah, Ethan Strange up against Cleary playing on his side of the field.
Yeah,
great players. That'll be a real interesting tussle.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what the conversation is between them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah.
Well, it's in Mudgee. A couple of shout-outs to the guys in Mudgee. Lawson Park Hotel, Tony Brown, whose daughter works for us, and Ned Kelly from Kelly's Irish Pub, good place for a beer, and also the male model from Mudgee, Kenty Sutcliffe. Okay. Do you know Kenny?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know Kenny. Yeah, he's one of the world's nicest blokes, Kenty Sutcliffe. Yeah,
good-looking bloke.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, you don't get called the male model from
Mudgee. That's it.
Best looking bloke in Mudgee, I can tell you that.
Very good. It's probably not a long list, but anyway. The Storm $1.53 against the Dogs $2.50.
Yeah.
Can the Dogs win?
Yeah, the Dogs could win. As I said, but again, the fascination is: can the Dogs respond? How will they respond? What are they going to be like? How aggressive are they going to be? How are they going to handle Melbourne's big guys? And I think Melbourne are going to, I know they've lost, they're far from full strength as well, but I think they're going to, the screws will really tighten for them.
Well, Pappenhausen's back, so that means a restructuring of the spine again. It doesn't seem to bother Melbourne at all.
No, it doesn't.
They just all kind of move into the spot. Yeah. Next man up, not a problem at all.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Saturday now. Manly $1.85 against the Dolphins. Season's on the line here for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I like the Dolphins in this. I know they're the outsiders, but I think that they're the better bet. The hard part is they're playing at Brookvale Oval, which is going to be a tough one for them. It's Daly Cherry Evans' 350th game, but it won't be the raucous gladiator arena that it would have been if
they were still in it.
If Cherry Evans was not taken off somewhere else.
Yeah,
the crowd would have. I don't know if they'll be right behind him like they would have normally been for a bloke run out for his 350th game for the club.
Which is a shame, right?
Because it's terrible. It's terrible.
His whole life there.
Yeah.
Kenny, interesting thing is that contract, as far as we're led to believe, hasn't been registered, or his new potential contract with the Roosters hasn't been registered with the NRL. So,
yeah, they didn't want to do that because it would have leaked.
Yeah, but does that mean that? I mean, Cherry Evans could easily retire and say, "Well, I never said I was going to the Roosters."
Yeah, but my understanding is his management came out this week said he won't retire.
Yep.
And my understanding is that the Roosters will honour the contract, even though they probably don't look at it as happily as they did earlier in the season when they first got it.
And when it's $800,000. You're not going to really earn that as a club ambassador, are you? So you might as well play as long as you can.
Well, there is a bit of talk that he's only on about 500 at the Roosters, which is why it's such a good deal for the Roosters. It's hard to say no to. That he's on. Yeah, he's taken a significant pay cut to go there.
Interesting. Yeah, okay.
But they'll no doubt help look after him after his football career, as they do very well.
Let's just leave that for a while. Yeah, let's talk about the Titans. $2.25 playing the Warriors. Warriors are favourites there, obviously, but not massive favourites. Top four on the line for the Warriors again.
You've got a fourth place team playing the last place team, and normally that would be $4 against $1.35 or something like that. But where the fact that the Warriors are struggling so much shows why they're only $1.65. They're just not like they're a chance of getting beat. I reckon Titans are a real good bet.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think Titans have a chance of going out and really giving it to them because the Warriors are far from settled.
Yep. Kenny, did you give me your tip for Storm Dogs?
No, I think the Storm get them though.
Okay. All right, last couple. The Roosters take on the Eels. CommBank Stadium will be underwater.
Yep.
And the Roosters, who have been scoring a lot of points, may not score as many underwater? It might be a bit tighter than normal, or you think it's
No,
still a bit like
I
that?
think the way Sam Walker's kicking the ball, it's made for the Roosters to score a few tries that way.
Okay.
Yeah, so look, I don't give Parramatta much hope at all. I think that'll be a big score. I think the Roosters will put some points on them.
Okay. And then on Sunday, the Knights play the Broncos. The Broncos are $1.30 against the Knights. That probably sounds right.
Sounds about right. Yeah,
Yeah.
$3.50 the Knights. They're playing at home, but I don't think they're going to win the game.
Broncos.
Broncos there for sure. Yeah.
And then the final game of the round is your Tigers playing the Cowboys. 4 o'clock at Leichhardt. You there?
Oh, yeah, more than likely I'll be
Okay.
there. Yeah, I'll have my head down. But
Can you run the fans through what happens on a Sunday at Leichhardt, 4 o'clock? What do you do? You wake up, little breakfast up the road?
You generally go and find somewhere that not but that's a decent suburb thing. Listen to you, breakfast up the road. Come on, mate. No, you cook your own breakfast or you make your own breakfast.
Okay.
No, we just meet. Me and a few mates and
At the Orange Grove, where do you meet?
No, we generally meet at the Gary Owen.
Okay.
But there's a whole heap of them along the
Jeez,
road.
you'll be packed on Sunday with
big-
Kenty Blitz fans. The Gary Owen about 3 o'clock.
And anyway, so off you go and just walk down there, get there before the game starts, and I can hear the loudspeakers from the house. So when I sat at home one day, I thought I'm not going to go today, and I could hear the ground announcer. And I was like they were getting ready to run on.
Yeah.
And he's revving them all up. And I thought, bugger it, I'll go. So
Oh, you went?
Yeah. I
very
just heard it. I got excited.
Yeah. So
but
Tigers,
it's a good day.
Tigers are favourites over the Cowboys. Who are you on?
Yeah, Tigers, I think we'll give them a bit of a touch-up too.
Very good.
Yeah, the Tigers will play well. They generally, they had some funny games, I suppose, against the Cowboys there, but they put a score on them last year, the year before, they put a score on them. So, and then they had the infamous one where the Cowboys give it to them on the Tommy Rodriguez day. Oh, yeah, that was a bad day. But I think the Tigers will give it.
Smashed the Cowboys last year. Yeah. I think that was at the end.
Yeah.
All right, Kenty. Well, that's it for us this week. You walking home tonight?
No.
Pouring rain?
I'm still celebrating my darts win.
Yeah, you look it. All right, guys. Good stuff. Until next week, we'll see you then. Cheers. Thanks.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.